going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel, and in today's video we're going to be doing a playbook related video because it's a viewer request, and I've had this one outstanding for a while, just have not been able to get back on track with making videos consistently enough lately. Just too much going on in real life, but I'm trying to get to your video requests, and today that is one of the ones that we're going to be doing. One of the biggest reasons that I run custom playbooks is to eliminate the bad plays from good playbooks within Madden, because every single year there are 5 to 10 playbooks that are definitely worthwhile to use within the game, and it just so happens that there's a lot of plays that are mixed into every playbook in the game that are just garbage, plays that just simply don't work. An example of that in the past 5 or so years is power running plays. They just don't work. Pulling players don't block appropriately. You end up with guys just running rampant in your backfield on offense. And so I just wanted to give that one example, but there are many, many more. You know, for years, screen plays, just running back screens didn't work. Now they work pretty well, but for the longest time, all I would do is go into my playbook and remove all of the screens that I don't want, and maybe add a handful of other good plays that I can go to in certain situations. So it's really useful for you guys to have a playbook ready to go within franchise mode. Now let's talk about which playbooks you might want to utilize as a base and get into how to create a playbook and my methodology for doing so. An easy way for you guys to see what the playbooks are capable of on a general basis within Madden, especially if you don't know anything about the various teams and what they specifically like to run, is to go to your franchise mode, go down to manage staff, and go to team schemes. Here you'll be able to scroll through every single team's offensive and defensive schemes, and it'll give you information on what they like to do. If you scroll over the specific playbooks, it'll tell you the goal of that playbook, and it'll give you kind of a summary of how many different formations and plays are in that playbook, which makes it really useful whenever we're talking about tailoring a playbook to our team or our play style. If you want to have a lot of single back, then you're going to want to identify the playbook that has a lot of single back to begin with, or maybe you want a lot of shotgun. Maybe you don't want to run under center and those types of things. There are so many different types of playbooks in here. I base my playbook this year off the Kansas City Chiefs just because they have some specific plays that are very good within this game, some good passing concepts that just get receivers open. But as you can see here, they have 20 shotgun formations and then very minimal other formations off of that, which can pose a problem depending on what you're trying to do with your offense. Some of the playbooks that I would recommend would be Kansas City's playbook, for example. The Rams playbook that I was already on is also a good playbook. Sean McVay's playbook knows how to take advantage of defenses. Another one would be the 49ers. They always have a pretty solid playbook. They utilize a variety of different formations. They know how to get guys open through their scheme. If you want a versatile type of an offense that can do a lot of dinking and dunking and spreading the ball around, New England is always a solid go-to, and it is again this year. It's a pretty solid playbook in and of itself. And then one of the playbooks that just tends to do very well in recent years is Tampa Bay's offensive playbook. And as you can see, as I've scrolled through all of these playbooks at the top, it's going to tell you the coach that's running that scheme, and then it tells you a little blurb. For example, with Tampa Bay, this playbook is built on a zone run West Coast scheme. The goal of this playbook is to run the ball to set up play action, attacking the short and intermediate levels of the field. So they're going to try to run first, and then they're going to hit play action to do short and medium passes, play action passes off of that. It gives you a really good idea of what's in that playbook generally and what that playbook is going to try to do as it is. One final playbook that I think is worth shouting out here before we actually go into my methodology is Dallas's offensive playbook. Dallas's offensive playbook is just designed really well. It's a really good balance, and I think that I don't know if there's just devs that favor the Cowboys or what it is, but it seems like they're just coded to be better than they should be a lot of the time. Defensively speaking, I also make a custom defensive playbook, and I can get into a little bit of the methodology with that. That's just kind of having a little bit of everything and having certain type of blitzes. So we'll talk about that as we go through it. It is worthwhile to create a defensive custom playbook in Madden 24. It does not glitch out the way that it used to. It doesn't mess up your kickoff returns and stuff like it used to. So it is worthwhile to create both an offensive and defensive playbook, even if it's just as simple as removing some of the bad plays and adding in 5 or 10 good plays that work for you. So in order to create a custom playbook, you have to be at the main menu. You go down here to the NFL logo in the bottom right, which is your creation center, and then scroll over to playbooks, and through here you'll be able to create and edit offenses and defenses. So now that I've entered the playbook, let's go ahead and give a breakdown of my logic with what I'm going to do first and foremost. And one of those things that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over pressing the right bumper once, or R1 once, to go to my playbook, and I'm going to scroll through every single formation that's available here. And then as well, we can hit R2, and I'll move my little camera here. We'll hit R2 to see the set out of each of those formations. So for example, out of pistol, I have all of these various different sets, so on and so forth as we go down the line. I like to have access to every formation if I possibly can. And that is exactly what I do here. So, for example, I find one formation, even though I don't like weak eye. I genuinely don't run a whole lot of weak eye. I don't like weak eye, but I get one formation out of weak eye that has a solid set of plays that I can utilize, and I put that into my playbook and I rate it and I put it in certain situations. So as you guys can see here, halfback gut, I rate in certain situations, and then, you know, PAF slide is a solid play. I rate that in certain situations, just so that it gets mixed into the variety of the plays that we call. One of the super important things for me, though, and this is evidenced by this eye formation, this weak eye formation, is that you have to have certain sets of plays within a formation. Number one, you want to give yourself enough plays that if you're going to call weak eye, it's not always going to be the same 1 or 2 plays. If a defense sees that anytime I come out in weak eye, I run halfback gut, it becomes really easy to stop. If I don't have anything off of that, if I don't have a play action off of that, if I don't have a quick pass off of that, if I don't have the potential for a deep pass like the PAF slide off of that, then I'm going to set myself up to be defended very easily. And so when I create a playbook, I am thinking, what is going to go into my 4 audible slots whenever I select that formation? The first audible slot is always going to be a quick pass. Well, not always, but most of the time going to be a quick pass. The second audible slot is going to be my go-to run. The third audible slot is going to be either a second pass or a second run that is a different action than the first one. And then my last one is going to be a deeper pass or a play action pass like PAF slide. So if I actually go to my audibles for the weak eye formation, you'll see that it is set up as such. Moving my camera here one more time, I have it set up so that I have my quick pass for square, my regular run that I like for triangle. I guess I didn't like the other running play enough to put it into my L1 slot, so I put a second post, skinny post play in there, and then my play action slot in the R1 spot. So you'll see that as I go through every formation, they're pretty much set up like that. If there are 2 runs that I like, you'll see 2 runs in the middle. Otherwise, you'll see another passing play. But generally, just so that it is consistent when I'm making my playbook, and you guys should do this as well, have it so that your quick pass is always in the same spot, have it so that your play action pass is always in the same spot, and then have it so that your runs are in the middle. It's really easy for me to audible and not even know necessarily what play I'm audibling to. If I just need to do it quick for some reason, I know that if I press my audible button and press R1, I'm going to be audibling to a play action pass. I get into I formation here, R1 is a play action pass. I get into pistol, R1 is a play action pass or something similar to that. I get into shotgun, R1 is going to be a play action pass, and triangle is always going to be a running play. So that's the way that I kind of develop the playbook at a core, is that I'm looking for formations that I have 4 or 5 plays that I feel comfortable running off of them. If I go to a formation in the all plays part of the playbook and I look at, let's say, I formation close, and I don't identify at least 4 plays that are worthwhile for me to run out of this formation, chances are it's not going to be in my playbook. That's not always the case, because there are certain formations that just have like one really good go-to play. But then you have to find something that is serviceable off of that. It's not necessarily advisable to just run that one play. Now, depending on what you're doing, you could potentially manipulate the system to just give you the cheese plays or the broken plays that you want to over and over and over again. But that's not a good way, in my opinion, to run an offense. I guess maybe if you're playing a lot of arcade style stuff, but if you want to have a good playbook that has variety, that has capabilities to stretch the defense and attack different parts of the defense, you need to develop it from that standpoint of like, what are my audibles? If you think about it from that perspective, what are my 4 audibles? What are my 4 core plays out of this formation? You're going to be absolutely golden. And then you can just go through and find the best plays that you like. So for example, if I like my single back wing pair formation, then all I need to do is go to single back wing pair and find 3 additional plays that are going to be worthwhile off of that. And then I don't have to worry about putting in too many extra plays beyond that. But in single back wing pair, I'm able to find, I like the halfback dive alert smoke, I like the stretch alert lookie. Those give you 2 options off of each play. And my favorite play in almost every playbook is the PA X-Burst cross. So now I have a couple of options just attacking off of that, so that every time I come out, they don't think that I'm running PA X-Burst cross. Or maybe they do think that, and I called tight end drive and something else is open for me, or I called the running play and they're backed off to defend a pass and I catch them off guard. So let's go ahead and talk about some plays and some formations that'll be particularly useful to you guys. And I'm just going to take the time to decrease the size of this so that you guys can see the formation and set ID, and you guys can just pause the video, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do of the plays that'll work. One formation that has been very successful for me that is surprisingly good within Madden 24 is the formation full house normal wide. This is the only full house formation that I would put into the game. Halfback smash out of full house normal wide is a really good running play. It's able to kind of get a funnel going for you where you can just dive down the middle for 4+ yards most of the time, and nobody else is able to really make a play on you. And then you have a couple of just base easy plays that are solid off of that, like the curls play. Curls concept has come back. It is relatively useful now. And then you can utilize like PA middle, that kind of dig route or whatever you want to call it. That is a very solid route in any formation that gets open a lot of the times. It's just super hard for any defense to cover that man or zone coverage. So something that's worthwhile there. But again, I just really recommend the halfback smash out of the full house formation. I have added in a lot of I formation stuff into my playbook. One of the best I formation plays is going to be the stretch. And the reason that I added a lot of I formation is because they have that stretch concept out of a lot of these formations, or a lot of these sets rather, and it's very effective. And the most effective is going to be out of tight and pro, believe it or not. So halfback stretch out of pro and halfback stretch out of tight is exactly what you want to have in your playbook. Now you can develop different plays off of this, but each of these have very effective alternative plays in them. The ISO play out of I formation is always pretty good. The PA power O, especially with the outside receiver running vertical as opposed to some type of in-cutting route, that vertical route on the outside does an excellent job of clearing and oftentimes even getting open for a deep shot, and that turns into a really good play. And then same out of the pro formation, you have your basic slants formations. Quick slants is a amazing goal line play. That circle receiver gets open 9 times out of 10. And then likewise, you have, the PA power O off of it with the circle receiver going vertical. You'll see in the I formation plays that there's a lot of times where that circle receiver is cutting across the field, and that's not what you want. You want the circle receiver going vertical to clear out for that tight end, and the fullback coming out. Every one of those guys gets open on most of those plays. So, but again, the reason that the stretch works, and you should have this in your playbook, is because the receiver splits out a corner, and that puts the defense kind of in a bind, because with the fullback coming out, they're able to help cut off the edge, and that gets you a lane between the receiver and the fullback going up the field, and you can get big gains off of those formations. But I have a lot of different I formation stuff in here. There are a lot of very effective I formation plays and sets within Madden 24, believe it or not. I think this is probably one of the most overlooked formations that you should really try to have plays in your playbook from. There are some really good pistol plays within Madden 24 as well. I haven't found any that I am super hardcore running nonstop within my offense. It's just a good mix. It's something that I recommend you guys add to your playbook, because there are some good passing concepts and some good option concepts and running concepts off of the pistol formations. Pistol isn't in a lot of base playbooks, so again, it's something you should add, and that's much like I formation and the things that I already pointed out, as well as full house. Full house, I form, and pistol are all things that are generally not going to be in a whole lot of playbooks, but they can be really, really effective. One of those formations that I was talking about here is going to be the trips set. Trips has some really good plays like PA halfback flat. Again, it has that in-breaking route. It has the running back coming out underneath. These guys, it just get open. It's such a good concept. And then the PA boot concept is really good. The PA boot left concept is really good. You have your zone bubble. You have your like wide receiver screen type of stuff out of pistol. There's a lot of really good stuff out of pistol. And if you have a mobile quarterback, being able to run option stuff out of pistol formations is a really good idea to have, in addition to what you already like about an existing playbook. And then beyond that, I don't feel like there's a whole lot that I have to tell you to add. You just have to, at that point, then kind of pick what you like out of your single back and your shotgun formations, which is going to be most of people's playbooks. You know what I mean? Most people are going to run a lot of shotgun, a lot of single back stuff, depending on what you're trying to do. And most of your playbooks are already going to have a lot of these plays in your playbook. But as you can see, I've removed a lot of the trash, as I would call it, a lot of the useless plays. And so in a formation like single back ace, I've reduced it down to 5 plays that I know that I like. So if I want to get to single back ace, I can go find single back ace, and then I only have a couple of options to choose from that I know are going to be solid, as opposed to going to single back ace and then having to search for what play I potentially like within a dozen or 24 different plays. I recommend you put in more sets and lower numbers of plays in each of those sets, just like I did with single back here. And as you can see, I've got my simple run play, I've got my simple quick pass play, I've got a different run play off of it that gets the defense reacting in a different way, another run play like a stretch, and then I have my play action, slightly deeper, medium type of range passing play off of that. And then all I have to say beyond that is make sure that you are rating the plays that you add to your playbook. So just under my playbook, I can press square, and that's going to allow me to go in here and adjust the star level for each of these plays in the various different categories. You don't have to mess a whole lot with the existing play call script, and that's what that's doing. You can either do it from this screen and go situation by situation and add plays, remove plays, rate plays, so on and so forth. You really don't have to do a whole lot to this, and you can literally just, as you put in a play, rate it for the situations you think it would be good in and when you want it called. So if I want to add halfback smash to my playbook, well, I want that in running situations. Give me red zone, give me goal line, give me second and short, give me third and short, give me first down, and then that play will get called or get given to you in coaching suggestions in those situations. So that's my recommendation, is just like, don't forget to rate the plays, because otherwise your play call script will end up looking very much the same as the base playbook, and maybe even not as good because you've removed some things, so it starts interacting a little bit differently. So make sure that anytime you put in a new formation and you put in a couple of plays, that you add in those ratings for the key plays that you like, because you want to call those plays. And so that's my methodology for creating an offensive playbook. It really comes down to that. My defensive playbook is more so based on specific coverages and blitzes that I like. And here's just a really good example of this on the very first play that pops up when I click on the defensive playbook. What I like to do in order to get pressure, because it is really difficult to get pressure sometimes within Madden 24, is to overwhelm the offensive line. What that means, though, is that you have to have really solid coverage in behind that blitz. And so zone blitzes and those types of things don't often work all that well for me. I like to call a lot of man blitzes that overwhelm the offensive line. So you can see Sam Will blitz here out of 4-3, even 6-1, is going to have 4 down linemen and 2 outside backers, or two outside backers blitzing there. So we have 6 guys coming, which means that if the running back isn't in protection, this is a free blitzer. And even if they are in protection, more often than not, the blocking is going to be wonky enough that one of these guys is going to come free and get some pressure on the quarterback. So those are the types of blitzes that I like to focus on. I also like to focus on corner or slot blitzes primarily. Those usually come in out of the like big nickel formation. So you can see here, strong safety linebacker blitz. I get 3 down linemen blitzing, that guy off the edge, the guy off the other edge, the linebacker. So it just overwhelms the offensive line. And then coverage wise, I like to kind of remove some of the excess coverages that don't work within the game. I like to focus on things like cover 4, cover 9, cover 6. Add in a little bit of cover 3, add in a little bit of cover 1, a little bit of cover 2, but focus on cover 6, cover 9s, things that just work well. And then I also like to add in, out of pretty much every single formation, the ability to have the inverted coverages. So in my playbook specifically, we have the 4-4 formation that is going to have the cover 2 invert. I love inverted coverages. They get defensive players interacting in different ways that oftentimes confuse opposing players and even CPU quarterbacks, and they result in free interceptions, free turnovers all the time. So those are my only tips for creating a defensive playbook. I like to have variety in my defensive playbook, but do things that overwhelm the offensive line, do coverages that work well enough for you. 5-2 is another example of one that works really well as a base formation, because you automatically get 5 guys rushing against 5 offensive linemen every time, and it just takes 1 to miss their assignment or 1 guy to shed their block for you to get pressure on the quarterback. So those are my tips here for creating playbooks within Madden 24, my suggestions and my methodology for how I would go about doing it. Hopefully you guys found this useful, and if you did, leave a like right now, comment down below. Do you guys utilize custom playbooks? What do you guys do? What's your methodology? Are there some go-to plays or formations that you like? Let me know those down in the comment section, and subscribe if you guys have not already. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a good one.